So let's dive into this episode of the Productivity Like a Pro podcast. Welcome back, Paco. How was your last week?
Well, my last week was great because I started the year really bad. Okay, I got a virus, I got flu, I got fever, I got everything. But fortunately, the last week was much better, and right now I'm back again on top of my energy. So
Yeah.
really
And
great
I
to
can
start.
I can testify that if Paco gets sick, this really
Yeah.
means something. And it was obviously an epidemic in Spain. So there's a reasoning behind this. But Paco is usually never sick. So that was a surprise for the beginning of the year. Great to have you back and in full energy so we can dive into 2025 and most importantly into our iCode Journey cohort starting at January 30th.
Yeah.
So for all of you who are part of this cohort already, we cannot wait to get this started. Right.
Yeah.
So, well, I said I have a lot of paper flying around here on my desk.
And
Something
why is that?
Why is that? Well, because in Germany you still get a lot of paper.
Oh
And
well.
you have to keep paper for the government and for taxes and all this. So the thing is, those who are following the paperless movement know that I've been a fan of the Raven scanners, and I went all paperless with the Raven scanner, and they went out of business after 4 years. Everybody loved it. I have still no clue what this means, but well, we just talked recently about it, how hard it is to make a business profitable. And it seems it wasn't enough, even that they were successful and loved by so many people. And it was a shock because I know that many, even law firms and so on, they bought dozens of these scanners for their offices. And then they go out of business and stop supporting the scanners. That's something I don't know if this is even allowed to do things like that. For me, fortunately, it was not that hard because I already scanned everything. So the backlog was gone and I rarely use this scanner anymore. But what I was keep doing is scanning my invoices or contracts and all this thing, and I just put it into the scanner and it ends up on Dropbox and I never forget it because the moment I need it, I made a video about this. I just ask in Raycast, essentially the search bar on Mac, about a specific content that I have in any of these invoices that I'm looking for, and it will find all the files. Or I go directly to Dropbox and search there. And that was enough to find the information again. So to me, I have one folder with all the documents in there. Unless I have really important ones, then I have separate folders for this. But now that
Yeah.
I have, where is it?
It's
Yeah.
curious here how important it is to have tools that are able to make searching processes inside images. I don't
Yeah.
know why so many, especially in the PKM area, why are there so many software that it's amazing and don't include this OCR, okay, on the go because you want to make a search and you don't care if the content is inside a file, inside an image, inside any type. The thing is that that content is inside the file, okay, and the moment that software allows you to make a searching process inside images is really useful for
Yeah.
many use cases. And
And that's why
okay,
Evernote was so successful. I mean,
yeah,
in my case, it was only for this purpose. I used
yeah,
Evernote in the past only for this as my document dump. So in 2018, when I went all paperless, uh, everything ended up in Evernote back then because it allowed me easily to search. There was not a thing like this in Dropbox yet, and I think even GDrive they haven't had it yet. Now all these cloud services provide it as well. If you search, if you save anything to Dropbox, it directly makes the OCR, so optical character recognition, right? That's what
yeah.
OCR stands for. So it recognizes the text on your images. And as you said, by having this, it makes it so easy to find anything relevant. If somebody reaches out, ask for an invoice number, I will search for the invoice number and will find the PDF. And the exciting thing is, ClickUp does this now too. So if you have a task and you give a custom field to that task and you upload a PDF file that is already scanned and OCR'd, you can ask ClickUp Brain AI, and it will bring up these documents based on content. And that's something Notion never had. And that's something I kept saying, if people moved from Evernote to Notion, that was never an option for me, because Notion didn't even allow to search for PDF titles. So you couldn't even name the PDF correctly in order to find it later on again. So that's a perfect use case where we see that what tool you really need and that what tool works best for you is depending on what you need it for. And that's what you need to realize first. And by having the idea of what you need it for, you look out for the perfect tools. And then again, combining the tools is key, because Evernote, as I said, was just a document dump. But then it was not enough for me for PKM and connecting information and things like that. But I'm curious, Paco, about you. Do you scan anything at all? I mean,
no, I got people that do that.
That's what I thought that will be the response.
No, I was laughing a lot because we have asked, I don't know how many times. We work with 8 different banks, okay, here in Spain, and we have ordered to all of them not to receive anything on paper. Yeah. And we still keep receiving everything in paper, man. It's amazing. I mean, we directly destroy all the documents because we don't need them at all. And well, it is what it is, okay? It is what it is. I think that we are in the world of productivity, and we think that most of the people are in this world and use this type of tools and all the thing, but the moment that you move away a little bit, you start seeing how many people start working in ways that you were working, I don't know, a decade, especially talking about government or all these big corporations, because obviously it's not easy, okay, to implement changes, talking at all levels, talking about finances, talking about, the budgets, and also, well, to train the people and to make that huge move, okay, between the old system and the new system, and they are really far away. And obviously, we need to adapt to those workflows, as you have right now described, using the rubbing scanner or any other thing. Okay, in our case, well, we are using standard scanners here in the different offices that we have. We have
big ones.
Yes, that directly generate the PDF and send into the email account, and based on that we got a process. Okay, that
and that was
exactly
the thing with
same,
Raven scanners, right? You were able to have different groups that you can send it to. I was able to scan directly and send it as a task to ClickUp. All these things were amazing, but it's no longer a thing as it was depending on the Raven cloud. And well, maybe you're curious what I just ordered. It is a really small scanner from Brother. Let's see how it is. I will surely do a review about this, because I started, well, the problem that I'm trying to solve is the invoices I get from the doctors, right? In a private life, we have 4 children. I have a private insurance, so it's not something, because if you're under standard insurance, everything is automatically done. But here you have to collect all the invoices throughout the year. And the end, you have to make calculation. Is it worth handing it in or not? Otherwise, you're losing money. And it's for 4 people. Well, 5 with me included. So I had a folder again, a paper folder to collect these invoices throughout the year per person. And it made all the sense to me to go through this in the end of the year, because it's easier to go quickly through the pages, looking at the numbers, then opening up different files and try to search the numbers. That's exactly what I say. Again, let's say it again. Remarkable. Why I say a piece of paper is more efficient than a remarkable. Yes, people love it to write on it. It feels great. But when it comes to searching for information, swiping through pages is so much slower than doing it on a paper notebook that I rather do it on a paper notebook. So it's not about going paperless for the sake of going paperless. It's about the paperless efficiency that you get when you're in a digital system. And this being said, I thought, no, man, I want to have it digital again, because now they finally opened up that you have the option to upload PDF files. So I can directly send them PDF files, invoices this way, and no longer need to send them copies. Insane, man. What a world we're living here. Well, and there's the option now. I will scan everything. I will have a folder for each year, and it will be a folder-based structure, nothing fancy, because I know in the end of the year, that's the single source of truth for my daughter for this year. Here are all the invoices. Boom. And that's it. Why should I try to use now Heptabase and force it into Heptabase and make it work in there some way or form? It makes no sense at all.
Well, just to say that you're a cool guy.
Who does that?
No,
Oh, just to say that you're a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
The thing is that, for instance, talking about searching, going back to the topic of searching text within images, I have a pretty useful workflow that I do really love that is related to all the content that I find on the internet, basically on X, okay, because I love that social media channel. And the thing is that there are a lot of inspirational images for me that I want to quickly capture, but being able without any friction to make searching process or just to quickly tag it in my shallow thinking system. And that's why I use MyMind, okay? Because I can perfectly share the tweet and inside MyMind first, they auto tag using AI. That sometimes that's useful. I can quickly tag manually, but the main thing about my use case is that I can perfectly make a search and it goes through the content, okay, talking about OCR, okay, within images, because sometimes it's not just the text that contains an image, but the image itself, what it's inspirational, how they represent the concept. And that's why inside the membership, I share a lot of images that are inspirational to represent certain topics, but being able to make a search within the tool, okay, in this case, MyMind, is something that makes things really easy, okay, because I quickly capture the image, ascending, auto tag, and then I can make any search at any moment and then share, go to the single source of truth of that content, okay, on the internet in this case. And it's a workflow that I do really love. And it's one of the main reasons why I use MyMind, because I think that more or less that's the only use case. But for me, that tool is amazing because also it has this serendipity thing where you can randomly go through the things that you have stored and you can check them out exactly the same way we do using the Readwise, but through these images. And for me, it's something that I do really love, and I'm really hooked into that workflow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful app, and I'm an on-off user of MyMind as well, just because I like how it looks, how it feels, but I don't have the use case yet to, the images that I would send there or something like this, that I use it enough to split things apart into other tools. On the other hand, it's so important doing this because let's think about the iPhone photo app, right? There you can even search for whatever. When I want to see all the dog pictures from our dog, I just search for dog and it will find all these, or by the person, or for certain things on a text, and it will bring up even the signs on the street or something like that because it recognizes this as well. So now one could say, hey, let's send all the images also to the photo app. How messy this would look like. The photo app is to give you serendipity about your personal experience and things like that. Whenever I make a screenshot, I already hate it that there's a screenshot in my photo app. However, Apple does a great job differentiating. It recognizes what is a screenshot and what is actually something else. But that's a good use case to use MyMind, for example, for this purpose, to have a specific vault that you can access whenever you need it.
Yes, and also what you have just said, it's a beautiful app that works amazingly no matter the device, and that's something that I really love because sometimes when I'm waiting or whatever, I can go through MyMind and check the images. And also when you have it open in a big screen like the one that I use, it's so inspirational. You quickly navigate through images, and it's something beautiful because they take really care of the graphical user design, and they do that in such a lovely way that I do really love using those type of tools. And well, I have been using them, I think that almost in this started because they were one of the first one, I think that even earlier than MEM, to start using AI to auto tag the things, because they have always been fighting to remove all kind of friction for the user experience, okay, that you just capture the things and then they emerge, naturally by making searches or just randomly. And I think that it's something that it's, quite interesting. Lovely app.
I like it too. And Stephen Park says he uses the Fujitsu ScanSnap IX 1600 scanner. And that's a mouthful, but the Fujitsu ScanSnap IX 500 it was. That was the first scanner I had before the Raven came around. And it was one of the best in the back. And then they brought out this 1600 scanner. I made a video about this back then. And it was not as good as it was as the 500. So it seemed like they trusted the people who loved the scanner and brought something out that is good enough for people to take. If you compared it back then to the Raven scanner, that was less expensive than the IX back then. Things changed. Now, I would also agree that the IX 1600 is the best for a bigger scanner. But that's for me right now, overkill. I don't want to have a big thing standing around. It needed to be something that fits right under the Apple display that I have here and things like that. And it doesn't distract me too much. It's enough that I have paper lying around here right now. That makes me very angry already. So I cannot wait to get the scanner back and then finally go back into control. And yeah. So, and I have something else for today, Paco. I think interesting to discuss. I just watched, now I forgot to write up his name. Let me quickly check.
Meanwhile, I will reply to Vincent, okay, that he asks if MyMind have a Firefox extension for capturing, and I have quickly checked out the website of MyMind, and sorry to say that it seems it doesn't. It has extensions for Chrome, for Safari, for Edge, and what was the fourth one? The fourth one was Edge, Safari, and which one is this?
There's always a use case where things don't, where one is left out.
MyMind, and the last one. Well, I don't even know which one is this. I don't know what's the fourth one. Sorry, but I'm improvising here. The search
doesn't matter. I'm ready whenever you finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think I would always answer this. Well, check out on the website if it is there, because obviously there are so many use cases and combinations of tools. We always relied on Chrome browser, and now we always use Arc, and there's no going back to anything else because, well, it would be a shame if Arc disappears, but it doesn't seem it will. And the Arc browser is based on Chromium. So whenever there's an extension that works on Chrome, it will work in Arc as well. So the other topic I wanted to discuss today is I just watched a video from Shu Omi. I still don't know how to pronounce it, but I know that you know him. And he talks a lot about ample nodes. And he also talked about, I think it was, the video was about even Tana. It was Heptabase. Well, what is the best note-taking app? And he concluded once again.
Wow, what a question. What a question.
What a question. Yeah. It seemed like somebody. Oh, yeah, no. It was, exactly. He's leaving Obsidian. And it seems like since I published a video, I ditched Obsidian and went on, right? And this video got a lot of traction, and a lot of angry people came over and said, well, you have no idea about Obsidian. This actually seemed to have triggered a lot of other creators to do similar videos. And Shu Omi, I don't know if it is related because of my video, but he made a similar video where he said he's leaving Obsidian. He made even an apology in the comments below for the Obsidian community that he doesn't want to make people angry. Man, I don't care, man. Then be angry because it's my life. I decide what I use, so nobody is telling me. And I'm not telling anybody what they should use in the video. We are just sharing here our own experiences, so you get a better perspective what is out there and what works for us. And then you can make your own conclusion, as everything that we say is based on tool agnostic concepts and workflows. And that's where, you can pick the tools that work best for you, as we just discussed with Evernote and Notion and all these things. But this being said, I watched the video and he concluded Ample Node is the one to go for. He used Heptabase as well and things like that. And what came to my mind at this moment when I saw this is something that we say more and more, especially to our inner circle cohort members. Start simple. When you're overwhelmed and you don't know what tools you use, we usually look at that tool stacks, and they are filled with redundant tools. We had one inner circle member, he had 4 or 5 different task managers that he was using. It was Things, Todoist, Omni, and Reminders, okay, to manage tasks. And this is, if you don't know why you're using them, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't, because it makes maybe all the sense, like we discussed with having MyMind for specific types of content that you want to save there. There might be specific actions that you will have in the other tools. But without knowing this and being overwhelmed and constantly not finding what you have to do and focus today and what information you need to look up, then this is an indicator that this might be the reason why you're overwhelmed, right? Too many different tools. So that's why we concluded, Paco and I, that if you want to have the most simplistic productivity system, then use Heptabase and Todoist. If you want to have a recommendation of tools, right? Use Heptabase and Todoist, and this is it. That's all you need, right? No ClickUp, no fancy other things, even not the Sansama planner or something like that. Also, there's all reasoning for why you might need this, depending on how complex your day is. But if you have a straightforward thing and you just want to get started with something, then start with Heptabase and Todoist only. Heptabase for your personal knowledge management, Todoist for your personal task management. And there we don't talk about business knowledge management and business project management, right? That becomes harder then. Obviously, when you're not a solopreneur, when you're working with a team and you can decide what tools these people use, then this becomes more complex and we have to think about these tools as well. But just about personal productivity in the most simplistic form, these are the 2 tools you need to use. Or to make it even tool agnostic, the only tools you need is a proper task manager and a proper PKM tool. These
Yes,
two
and that's important.
make you much more started. So that's why I say, because you just want to say probably, Paco, that's more important that we don't say these 2 tools. It's the 2 different tool
No,
types
the thing is
that you
the
really
start.
need.
The thing
But
is
the question is, let me just conclude this why I brought up Xiaomi here.
Yeah.
What about Ample Notes, as it combines both PKM and task management? And now let's see.
That's the thing, because I tried, I don't know how long ago, Ample Note, because at that moment was quite curious. Okay, I think they tried to merge everything, and that's where chaos begins again, because starting simple doesn't mean to just bet on one tool, okay? That approach of one tool for everything, because that becomes chaotic no matter how simple your reality is, okay? And that's why always splitting between information and action becomes crucial, okay? And we say Heptabase and Todoist because we consider that those are the simplest tools that you can use for your personal use for each area. And I think that
well,
that's
let's
the approach,
specify
because
this with the easiest learning curve, I would say. There's no easier learning curve in a PKM tool than using Heptabase for the complexity that you get out of it.
Correct.
Obviously, a piece of paper is less learning curve, a lower, slower, flatter learning curve than for Heptabase. But and Todoist as well. You go in intuitively, you know exactly how to use this tool. And that's what this is all about and why we bring this up. If you compare it then for things like Obsidian. Sorry, Paco, for interrupting.
And no, and especially if you apply the ICOR principles, those are tools that perfectly fit the implementation of the different concepts and workflows that we share throughout the whole methodology. And just understanding the methodology and using, quote, simple tools, okay? We mean that the learning curve, when you compare with tools like Notion, ClickUp, Tana, all those tools that are so flexible, so open, create, there's that quote that it's we gave you freedom and that's why you are lost, okay? Because the moment that you don't have boundaries, that you don't have limitations, everything is so open that if you don't have a framework, some boundaries, you get lost. And that's what happens to people. You need to be really you should have really interiorized a methodology, okay, to go and really take the best out of tools like ClickUp, Notion, all those, Obsidian, for instance, all those tools that allows you to do anything at all, that they are almost like coding your own tool without using code, okay? That's the definition of those so open tools. That's why people use them for action, for information, for everything and anything in between. That's what creates confusion in the people, on the people. And I think that that's the scenario that we should try to avoid, to make something as simple as possible to be productive, okay? Because at the end, what you want is to quickly capture your information, to take advantage of the information, quickly process, create actions that drives you towards your goals, okay? And that's what people want, to achieve their goals, to get things done. And the only way to do that is betting on simplicity. If not, then becomes too complex. And we are not using just two tools, obviously. We are using a lot.
That's the point I was just about to say. I mean, I'm forcing right now my productivity system to just these two tools in the personal area, right? So I'm just using Heptabase and Todoist. But even Todoist, I wouldn't consider to be added to the ICO framework. As in Todoist, I only have private tasks. So it is really just family related things that are in Todoist, nothing business related. As everything business related, business in my case, the Paperless Movement, is inside ClickUp. And that's my single source of truth. And by having this one place to find all my tasks about the business, I right now don't need a planner app in addition. I don't need to have Sansama right now for two reasons. One, I don't need to connect different action tools into one app to see everything at a glance. And second, my day is not as dynamic as it is, for example, for Paco, right? There are no unexpected events happening usually. I know if somebody books a discovery call, it's one day ahead. I can plan around. And all the time I have in the day, I work usually on workstream mode or on the project tasks that we have. So everything is perfectly organized that I can sequentially work on the priorities that we have set. That's not possible for Paco, right? Maybe you want to share what your situation is in comparison.
Well, the situation is that I'm using 3 different project managers, for instance, talking about tools, okay, that I'm interacting with a team of 70 people, that I'm interacting also with clients, okay, that reach out to me using email, for instance, that I'm constantly changing the things that I have previously planned, okay. That doesn't matter that I don't force the things to have every day a single planning, okay, that I can follow so I can move my projects forward. That's something that I respect a lot, okay, what we call the deep work time slot, okay, that is dedicated to move forward the projects that we are committed, okay, to complete in a quarter, okay, so that we achieve and accomplish our goals. But I think that also that the thing is how dynamic, you know, and unexpected is your day, and how many different attacks you receive, okay, from the outer world. Based on that is how you need to have a system that allows you to go in a slower speed, okay, compared to another one that needs to be fast. That's, for instance, one of the reasons why it's impossible for me to manage what we call shallow thinking using Heptabase instead of Tana. It's something that for me, it doesn't work. And also, this is due to how I think I've been hooked on the outliners for decades. I was a heavy user of Workflowy since it started. I think it was 2001, if I'm not wrong. So the moment that your brain starts to interact with a certain technique, I would say, okay, because people think that outlining is a tool, and it's not, okay? It's a technique that software tools have implemented, like Workflowy, like, for instance, Tana, and many others. There are many outliners out there. And that's what defines your tool stack, okay? The sensation of friction that you use. Because if we try to interchange how we use the different tools, Tom and myself, both of us will feel that friction point constantly on a daily basis. And the moment that it's the moment that you start reducing how productive you are. And that doesn't mean, that's why we don't bet on templates or things like that, or giving recommendations. What we say is understand the concepts, define your workflows, and then choose the best tools based on all the different, approaches that you can make to world of tools and software. That is how you think, how your brain works, how used you are to a certain type of tools. If you want to dedicate a lot of time to setting up the tool, or you want something that you adapt your workflows to the features of a tool, there are many things. And the thing is that obviously, based on your use case, we can give recommendations based on our experience, but at the end, it's just one himself that needs to choose the right tools and the better tool stack.
Exactly. And I made a long video, long, 29 minutes, that was just published on YouTube and inside the membership. You probably have seen it as well, where I explain why I ditched Tana and I go all in Heptabase, even with the shallow thinking part. Something that I wasn't able to remove from the tool stack is the reader, the Read Later app from Readwise. I need to have a dump where I can send things that I think it's not so relevant right now for my PCAM, but I still want to store it there. So if you are interested into the reasoning behind this, and you will also understand, because I talk about Paco's setup and why he keeps using Tana and things like that. We lay it out on the icon note-taking framework there. I think that's an interesting video. And this video, Steven, inside the chat, is related to your question where you ask, have any experience of videos on conversion, moving data from one tool to another, Evernote to Heptabase, for example? This is the video for you. Just go to the end of the video, because there I talk about, there's even a chapter, I think, mentioning this, where I talk about, okay, what do I do now? I used Tana for over a year, nearly 2 years, right? I filled it up with information. How can I now go to Heptabase? Do I export? Tana doesn't this so great in exporting things and this. It's no problem. I just keep moving on. I keep both running. If anything appears that is missing in my Heptabase, I will go then to Tana to find it and move it over in Heptabase, and I keep doing this. So each iteration, I will move things slowly from Tana into Heptabase, but in the end, experience tells you it's unlikely that you need anything there from there. It really depends. If you have built up a proper database of people in CRM, this connections between these things, that makes it really harder. And the other option would be then to narrow down what you use one tool for, right? So let's keep Tana just as a database of people, maybe, if this is something you build up there. And the note-taking or even deep thinking that you did, you can move this to another tool and start using it there. It's not about on, off, or 1 or 0 in this world. You have to decide what type of information stays in a tool and what type of information makes more sense in another tool. And that's something that you have to figure out yourself. And that's why we say use one tool only as long as possible until it hurts so much that you realize what is missing in a tool and what you would use another tool for. Then you know also what you need to move out from this one tool to the other, and why you should actually keep using both in parallel instead of switching from one tool to another. Because most likely, whenever you switch to another tool, there will be features that you miss from the tool that you used before. So if you mention here Evernote to Heptabase, again, it's impossible to give you a recommendation how to migrate data from Evernote to Heptabase when we go back to the very beginning of this podcast, where I mentioned I used Evernote only for my document dump. So I would now think about, if I get the question how to move from Evernote to Heptabase, and I just think about, well, I'm using Evernote only for documents. I think that's not what you're asking for. But for me, there would be never an option to move from Evernote to Heptabase in the first place. So that's why it's so hard to describe this to these one-sentence questions, or on questions on social media when they ask, what's the best note-taking app? And yeah, I can tell you Heptabase, and then they call you out, well, you're being sponsored, right? Because there's no context and no reasoning. There's no context in the question, and I cannot give you context for my answer due to lack of context in the question. So that's what makes it so complicated. And I see already we have some previous Inner Circle members in the chat and also upcoming Inner Circle members for the future cohorts. And that's exactly what we talk there in the Inner Circle. There we go really deep in the 3-hour sessions per week where we talk about your tool stack, why you use the tools that you use, and what other tools might work better, or you should keep the tools and give you calm that there's no urge to move on to other tools. Just because we are using Heptabase doesn't mean that Notion isn't the best solution for you, or even Obsidian or whatever. Yeah, I think interesting session today, and we will keep doing it this way, and we will catch you guys up next week then.
Yeah, see you guys.
Have a good time. Bye-bye.